My friends and I decided to have a sleepover in my house. We were thrilled to spend the night together, sharing stories and playing games. As the sun began to set, we gathered in the living room, full of excitement. We set up our sleeping bags and arranged pillows to make the perfect cozy fort. Laughter filled the air as we shared jokes and talked about our favorite movies. As the night grew darker, we decided to test our courage by telling scary stories. We turned off the lights, leaving only a single lamp. With anticipation in our voices, we shared tales of haunted houses and mysterious creatures. Just as we were starting to feel the thrill of the spooky atmosphere, we heard a faint tapping sound coming from the window. We froze, exchanging worried glances. None of us had expected any visitors this late at night. Curiosity getting the better of us, we cautiously approached the window. Outside, a figure stood, shrouded in darkness. Our hearts raced as we struggled to make out its features. It seemed like a person, but their face was hidden, leaving us with an uneasy feeling. A voice came from the other side of the glass, a whisper that made my blood run cold. The figure asked to be let in, claiming to be lost and in need for help. We hesitated, unsure of what to do. Against our better judgment, we decided to open the window just a crack. The figure's voice sounded desperate, and we thought we could offer assistance, but as soon as the window was open, a chilling gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the lamp. In the darkness, we heard the figure enter the room. Panic filled our hearts as we fumbled for the light switch. When the room was finally lit up, we realized that the figure had vanished without a trace. Confusion and fear consumed us as we searched the house, hoping to find an explanation. But there was no sign of anyone else inside. We locked all doors and windows, feeling a sense of unease that lingered through the night. As we huddled together in our fort, we couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards and gust of wind sent chills down our spines. The once cozy sleepover had turned into a nightmare we couldn't wake up from. The night dragged on, and sleep eluded us. Every sound outside seemed amplified, making our hearts race with each passing moment. We whispered reassurances to each other, desperately trying to find comfort in our shared fear. Dawn finally broke, bringing relief and a glimmer of safety. The night had been terrifying, but as the sunlight streamed through the windows, we dared to hope that the worst was behind us. We exchanged weary smiles, grateful to have made it through the night. However, even though the sleepover ended, the memory of the mysterious visitor haunted us. We questioned what happened, but there was no answer to be found. It remained an unsolved mystery, leaving us extremely uncomfortable. Let's just hope that whatever was at the window never comes back again. It was summer break. School just ended, and I decided to invite my friends over for a sleepover to kickstart the summer. We were all super excited and ready to have a night full of fun and games. We were hanging out in the living room, playing video games and eating snacks like there's no tomorrow. Clock struck midnight, and that's when it all began. We started hearing strange noises coming from outside. It sounded like something was in our backyard, maybe a raccoon or something. Naturally, we got a bit freaked out. We turned off the TV and looked at each other, wondering what was going on. Deciding to be the brave one, I stood up and went to go scare off the raccoon, thinking it was probably just digging through our trash. As I was about to head out the door, I peeked outside the window, and to my horror, I saw a man standing in my backyard. I almost yelped at the sight of the man. I thought to myself that this couldn't be happening. There was someone in our backyard. Without wasting a second, I decided to go up to my parents' room and tell them. My dad, being the brave dude that he is, jumped out of bed and followed us downstairs. My dad bolted out the back door, screaming for the man to get out of here, or I'll call the police. We peeked through the window, witnessing the entire thing. The man turned and started running away, disappearing into the darkness. We let out a collective sigh, thankful that my dad scared them off. Just to be safe, we decided to call the police. We explained everything to them, and they said they would send someone over to check it out. While we waited for the police, we all stayed close together, trying to calm our nerves. We were a bit scared, but knowing the police were on their way made us feel a bit better. When the police arrived, we let them in. We gave them all the details that we could remember about the man. They assured us that they would investigate and keep an eye out on the neighborhood. After the police left, we tried our best to go back to having a good time. We played some board games and told some silly jokes, but in the back of our minds, we couldn't help but wonder who that person was and why were they in our backyard. As the night went on, we started to relax a bit. We convinced ourselves that it was probably just some prankster or lost soul who wandered into the wrong yard. Still, we couldn't shake off the creepy feeling. In the end, the police never found the mystery man. He never showed back up either. But what a way to start off summer, am I right? My parents were out of town, so I decided to have my girlfriends come over for a sleepover. We had an absolute blast. As we were having fun outside, the sun started to set. Things took a terrifying turn from there. As we were enjoying ourselves, a really strange man walked by. He was wearing a hood. He gave us a piercing stare that made us really uncomfortable. We decided to brush it off and kept on having fun, thinking it was probably just some weirdo. It started to rain, and we all hurried inside to get ready for the sleepover. We changed into our comfy pajamas and settled into our sleeping spots. Since my parents were out of town, us girls can be as loud as we want. After telling stories, secrets, and joking around, we all grew tired and decided to go to sleep. As I lay there in bed, something felt off. I couldn't explain it, but I just had this weird feeling that somebody was watching me. It made me feel really uncomfortable. My mind kept telling me to look outside, but I brushed it off, thinking I was just being paranoid. However, the feeling wouldn't go away. It started to bother me so much that I couldn't ignore it any longer. I decided to get up and check outside, just to make sure that no one was there. I wanted to ease my mind and put my worries to rest. I slowly peeked through the blinds, and what I saw froze me in fear. There, standing in the pouring rain, was the hooded man, staring right at my window. I couldn't move or even breathe. It was like time stood still. He just stood there, his eyes locked on my window. Terrified, I slowly backed away from the window, praying that he didn't see me. My heart was pounding so fast, it felt like it could burst out of my chest. I was hoping the man would just walk away and leave us alone, just as I thought things couldn't get any scarier. I heard a loud knock at the door. My soul almost left my body at that moment. I was trembling. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911 and told them that there was a man knocking on my door. The operator urged me to lock all doors and find something to protect myself. Meanwhile, my friends were still fast asleep, unaware of the terrifying situation unfolding. The man kept knocking at my door. I was just praying for him to go away and leave us alone. Waiting for the police felt like an eternity. It was torture. In the distance, I could hear the sound of police sirens. The knocking suddenly stopped. Relief washed over me, knowing that help was on its way. The police arrived, and I quickly woke up my friends, their faces dazed and confused. They saw how pale and frightened I was. I met with the police, explaining what had happened, but to our dismay, the hooded man was nowhere to be found. He had managed to escape. I felt a mix of fear and frustration, realizing that he was still out there, somewhere in the darkness. I gave my statement to the police, recounting every detail of that terrifying night. As my friends listened, their eyes filled with fear and concern. We were all shaken by the experience, knowing that the man could still be lurking in the dark, waiting for another opportunity to strike. We were cautious, and we made sure to keep our doors locked and stay alert. My friends eventually fell asleep, but I stayed up the entire night. The thought of that man standing there in the rain just made me shiver. It haunted me, and I slept terrible for the next few weeks. Sleepovers were never the same after that, and we couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, even in the safety of our own homes. To this day, I still wonder, what if I didn't listen to that lingering feeling? What if I didn't check outside the window? For all I know, if I ignored that feeling, I could have woken up to the man standing in my room.